The number one team goes down on the volleyball court. I'm Carla Metz, and welcome to Augustana All Access. The Vikings had a week on the court, only losing one set in 2 matches. And not only that, but they defeated Minnesota Duluth, who's not only the number one team in the NSIC, but the number one team in the nation. And we're definitely going to have the breakdown of that match. But before we do, we want to look back at the football team's win against Upper Iowa this past Saturday. We're just 8 seconds in on the game. Upper Iowa fumbled after the kickoff, setting Augie up for a quick strike. And what a fight by Nathan Merriam. He touches 6 defenders but claws his way into the end zone, and that score would set the tone for the rest of the game. 2 Augustana possessions later, and Trey Hyde airs it out to Matt Heller from 30 yards out. Vikings go up by 14. Still just the first quarter here when Hyde spreads the wealth. A 2-yard reception gives junior tight end Nate Winter his first career receiving touchdown. Start of the second quarter when the Vikings get their 4th score. It's Jake Welshamer from 5 yards out. Extra point good to extend the lead 27-0. Upper Iowa tries to fight back after getting their first 7 on the board. Dimitri Morales hands it off to Ryan Parmalee, who finds a hole to the right, and he takes it up for a 33-yard touchdown. Augustana responds on their next drive, making it into the red zone, but not any further. They settle for 3 with Lucas Wayman from 28 yards out. Trey Hyde connects with Matt Heller for 8 yards and a score, but the Peacocks would respond right before the break with a 24-yard touchdown. Vikings take the lead into the half, 37-14, and they get the ball at the start of the third. Just 4 plays and almost a minute later, Trey Hyde sneaks in around his line for a 1-yard run. Penalty flags fly, personal fouls for both teams, so they offset each other. Augustana goes up 44-14, but Upper Iowa would respond with back-to-back touchdowns, putting them within 16, but that wouldn't last for too long. Lucas Wayman would get another field goal attempt, this time from 43 yards out, and it goes through the uprights. Matt Heller would get his 3rd touchdown of the day from the back right corner of the end zone. The Peacocks would score again, but the Vikings get the win with a final score of 54-35. Hyde, Hayes, and Heller finished with the bulk of the numbers for the day. Hayes led the receiving game with 232 yards, but no scores. Heller had just under 150 yards and 3 scores, and Hyde finished with 466 yards through the air and led the ground game with 87 yards. Hyde also ended his week being named the NSIC Offensive Player of the Week, accounting for all 7 touchdowns against the Peacocks. Up next is the Turning Point with Coach OJ, but first it's the Vikings Vote question of the week. When's the last time Vikings volleyball beat Minnesota Duluth? Your choices are 2009, 10, 12, and 13.
Augustana All Access on Midco Sports Network is presented by Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine and Classic Import.
Welcome back to Augustana All Access. It's time to talk about the game against Upper Iowa this past weekend. And Coach, it was a road game. And the last time we were here, you said you wanted to see a more complete game from your team. So was this a good representation of that?
Yeah, it was. It really was. And you know, the points we talked about last week were a complete game and starting fast. You know, getting out of the chutes and feeling good about what we're doing. And I thought exactly that. Opening kickoff, we cause a fumble, and 1 play later, we're in the end zone. And defense comes out with multiple 3-and-outs in the first quarter. And really the first half couldn't have gone that much better than what it did. So I was really, really proud of the football team of how they took that to heart and how we really executed in this first 30 minutes.
Yeah, because the first 4 scores of the game, can you explain maybe some of that momentum behind the team? Was it just they were ready to get this win this week maybe?
Yeah, I think they were excited to play. They had a little bit bitter taste in their mouth from the week previous where we felt like we let it slip through our fingers and missed on multiple opportunities. So, the week of practice couldn't have gone faster. They wanted to get to Saturday and get back out there, and I thought that the focus was tremendous. I thought our preparation was really excellent, and I thought our play was really great as well. And you could tell they were a motivated bunch. The thing that I enjoyed as a coach is how well they played together, and they kind of had some emotion in this contest, and really proud of the guys.
Right. Anytime you can see that's always a good thing. 513 yards through the air, but you were still able to get over 100 yards on the ground too.
Well, they certainly committed to the run. It was tough sledding running the football. They had +1 in the box most of the game, and I thought Coach Schrenk called an excellent game. I thought our offensive line did a nice job of keeping Trey clean in the first half especially, and the middle of the field was some opportunities where Charlie could really work some matchups where there were some voids in the zone, and I thought Trey was very sharp. He knew where to go with the football, and he threw on time, and it might have been one of his top 3 performances in his career. I mean, he really had his A game on Saturday.
And going off of what you said, we could talk about Heller and Hayes, but Nathan Merriam, he had a career high day in receptions, and then Nate Winter got his first career touchdown. So what kind of confidence does it give you as a coach to maybe see the depth in that position grow the further we get into the season?
Oh, it's critical. You practice every day for a reason, and you recruit as you do for a purpose. And at some point, those 3 gentlemen are going to be gone. Those 4 guys you just mentioned are going to be gone in a year. So, the next steps in the process are staying consistent and making sure that kids can execute plans and get great players. But we're going to miss those 3, especially when you talk about Trey, Charlie, and Matt. Down the stretch here, they need to continue to play at this level, and it's fun to watch.
And looking ahead again to next week is Winona State. They're 6-2. They've lost to some common opponents, including USF and Duluth, but they did get a win over Minnesota State. So the defense had a good performance this last week, but what are they going to have to do to step up against Winona State?
Well, they're balanced. The Paul Preston is a small statured running back that runs incredibly hard, and also obviously Jack Nelson has been a 4-year starter and has shattered every record that they have at Winona. There's not much you can show him that he hasn't seen in his career. Very gifted wideouts and some huge tight ends that they have. So that's going to be the challenge for us defensively, is that balance between run and pass and be able to defend both. We did it really well last year. I was really proud of our guys, how we played last year. And as you watch their team, they're a balanced team. They're good offensively. They're good defensively. They're good on their special teams. So it's time to play some really good football against a good team. And I'm excited for that challenge. I think our guys will be too.
As far as looking at game film, I said they've had common opponents. Is there one game that you're going to really be focusing in on, or just all of them?
Well, generally speaking, we'll look at their last 3 the most, but those 2 games that you just mentioned, are quality opponents that you look at. Those 3 games, Mankato and Duluth and Sioux Falls, are games that we'll spend some time watching, but more their last 3 games is where you really spend a good part of your breakdown anyways. But we'll watch them all, and the kids will see a good focus of what's going on too. They won't be surprised by anything they do, I'll say that.
Right. And then it's also the last home game too. So how sentimental is that for maybe your seniors, but maybe for you with the seniors here?
Yeah, senior day is always, it's special and it's hard.
Mm-hmm.
You say goodbye, a home career goodbye. We have 2 games after that, but they're both on the road. But a lot of memories created on this field by those young men, and stuff that you never want to say goodbye to. But the message you're going to get all week is your legacy is going to be your legacy. Mm-hmm. It's not going away. It's going to be for the rest of time. But it is hard. It's like losing a member of your family. You don't get to see him every day after this year. And as a coach, part of you dies a little bit.
Right.
But then you get the rebirth of another young man that comes up through the program. But incredible group of young men. They're going to be incredibly successful in life. They're going to be great servants in their communities. But I'm going to miss them as football players.
Yeah, and that's so important too, I think, looking past your football career, because a lot of kids have trouble, that last year hanging it up and not knowing what to do after. But you set a good foundation and hope that they continue with that after football. So.
I have no worries with any of these guys. They some of them already have jobs already, to be honest with you, lined up. So they're going to have fabulous lives, and they'll meet the right young lady, and they'll have a great future ahead of them. I know they'll do well, but I appreciate all their moments here, and we're going to have to go out the right way on Saturday to honor that.
Right. All right, Coach. Well, we'll see you back here next week. We've still got much more to go on this episode of Augustana All Access. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back to Augustana All Access. There are 19 defensive backs for the Augustana football team, but the starting cornerbacks, the strong safety, and the free safety all decided to stay at home. It sounds like the beginning of a bad joke, or maybe it's just confusing, but when we say they decided to stay at home, here's what we mean. The secondary depth chart reads starting cornerbacks Jordan Johnson and Kevon Mahan, strong safety Jordan Detterman, and free safety Trevor Nyes. All 4 are juniors this year, which means they've been together in a position group for 3 years now, but they go much further back than their time together at Augustana. It's not uncommon that Augustana has players from Sioux Falls, considering it's located right in the heart of the city, but maybe a little more uncommon is the fact that all 4 starting DBs call Sioux Falls home, and they join other defensive starters in this unique bond.
Ever heard? I mean, 7 of our starters on defense are from within 30 miles of Sioux Falls. You know, Joey Newman is from Tri-Valley, and 6 starters, you know, with Kirby Hoare and Matt Wagner from Sioux Falls School District. So I think that's incredibly unique, and it follows our philosophy when I got this job that we want to win. You know, the kids that are local that can play at this level, we want to win with those kids first, and then move our borders out as we need. And you know, that just happens to be in those recruiting classes that we did really well in immediately, and now they're at an age where they've had some reps, and they had to play early. You know, we didn't have the depth at the time, so they played early in their careers, and now 2 years into the process with 1 year remaining. It's very unique, I think, in the country.
Jordan Johnson and Kevon Mahan knew each other from Sioux Falls Roosevelt. Jordan Detterman played at Washington, and Trevor Nyes played at Lincoln. And although they went to different schools, in-town rivals know a lot about each other, which actually helped in their transition to teammates.
We've been playing against each other. We've probably been competing against each other since we've been 3rd, 4th grade, getting into junior football. Jordan Detterman and I, the 2 safeties, you know, have been playing that long. Jordan Johnson started playing his senior year of high school, and then Kevon came his senior year of high school from California. So we have been playing against each other for 3-4 years now. Me and Jordan Detterman have been going back for quite a while, since 3rd, 4th grade, so it's been quite a long time.
I've known Trevor and Jordan since high school. I've competed against both of them, both in football and then Jordan in track, so we've definitely been able to compete against each other, and I've been able to see their competitive nature, and I love it, so that's definitely made me a better player. And then Kevon, I didn't get to see him play in high school, but as we got to know each other more and more, that I can tell he's got that competitive nature too, so it just makes us all better when we all want to compete.
And a story within itself is the fact that Mahan didn't even play football at Sioux Falls Roosevelt. He moved to Sioux Falls in high school from California, but the Sioux Falls factor still helped him bond with the other 3 starters.
Me coming in and trying to, you know, cohese with them and see how they act with each other and just rub myself in there. I've known Jordan since high school. I went to Roosevelt with him. I didn't play football there, but I ran track. I do remember Jordan Detterman from track a little bit, but we didn't talk or anything. And Nas, I met him when he first came here. And then all of us together in the DB meetings and things like that, you know, we just tight-knit bond.
But the question remains, why does it matter that all 4 starters have known each other for such a long time? If you ask any football player or coach, they'll say the more you understand your teammates, the less communication you need on the field. These guys know each other forward and backwards, which means they know where they're going to be at all times, and that helps when you're trying to shut down a quarterback and his receivers.
I think this unit's doing really well so far this season, and I think a big part of that is just, like we've been covering, the trust. It allows everyone to play fast. Everyone can just trust their eyes because they know even if they do make a mistake, people in the back that are behind them are able to make it up for them. So it just allows us all to play fast and allows us to make plays.
It's nice seeing all the Sioux Falls kids come together, play really well with each other since we have known each other for quite a long time, and stepping up together, developing and becoming a good, tight-knit group.
And there's that trust factor too. You know, if somebody, you know, doesn't do their assignment or they do their assignment, there's that trust that, you know, you got the next play or he's going to make that next play.
We all have different strengths and different weaknesses, and we all play off that. We cover each other when things are down. We don't hype each other up when things are going great. But it's always an even kill.
There's still a lot of football left to be played for the 2016 season. The secondary starters are just juniors this year. And although there's a lot of hope for next season for these guys, Coach Olszewski says there's still much more he wants to see from this group this season.
We have to get better week by week, and we're going to be challenged, especially in this league, by some great quarterbacks and some excellent wide receivers and some passing games that are really going to stress that group. So you look at our entire unit, you know, we have 2 seniors in that entire unit, so we'll have most of our defense coming back, but we're not playing for next year, we're playing for this year, and we're in the middle of a run right now that's going to have to be excellent defensive play in a league that demands it. So I think that their best football is going to be in the second half of this season. I'm certainly hoping that. And the things I mentioned earlier, I think, are the reasons why. But we take great pride in the 605 and the quality of football that these coaches are putting out on a week-to-week basis when we go watch high school games. And they can see when one of their teammates is coming out here and having success and doing well.
After the break, we'll give you the results from the NSIC Cross Country Championship that took place at Yankton Trail Park in Sioux Falls. Welcome back. The cross-country team is officially into postseason, and the men's team has done it again, winning the 8th consecutive conference championship. The NSIC championship was hosted at Yankton Trail Park in Sioux Falls, providing a little bit of a home field advantage. The women's team also had a top 5 place finish, so let's give you the details behind their dominant weekend. The Viking men's cross-country team took off inside Yankton Trail Park Saturday morning with one goal in mind, another conference championship to add to their string of championships dating back to 2009. And they were able to do that, led by senior Glenn Ellingson, who is now a back-to-back NSIC champion. Ellingson finished the 8K course with a time of 24:10.96, beating the second-place finisher by 12 seconds. Ellingson's performance was backed with a strong finish from his teammates, who raked in 7 All-NSIC honors. Nathan Hauge came in 4th. Keegan Sarda came in 6th. Jesus Urchuswasiji received 8th place, and John Kletcher finished 9th. The team finished with a total of 28 points, bettering MSU Moorhead by 19 points.
We've always been a team that talks about late season, and we're still 4 weeks away from the national championship. We certainly really realize we have to go through the regional first, but we do feel good about our team. One thing that I'm really excited about our men's team is we got experience. I got 4 fifth-year seniors on my squad, guys that have been through the trenches, been through this experience. They kind of know what this is like. And talking to a couple of them, they were pleased with their race, but to hear them say, it was okay, but I know I'm going to have a better race in 2-3 weeks. That's really exciting for our end, and we're always about not how we start, but how we finish. And so 4 weeks to go, we certainly hope that we can be a much better team than we were today. And today, we had 5 in the top 9. If we can be better than we were today, I think that's going to bode well for a national level team.
Head coach Tracy Hellman also took home his 8th straight NSIC Men's Coach of the Year award. The women's team was led by Mackenzie Kelly with a time of 21:27.89. She also earned second-team All-NSIC honors. Kelly helped her team finish the day in 5th with a team score of 135. UMary took first, followed by Minnesota Duluth, Winona State, and MSU Moorhead. Well, it's finally time to get to the upset of the week. Vikings volleyball took down the #1 team in the nation, defeating Minnesota Duluth 3-1. We've got highlights from that match, but we want to back up to review their first match this week against St. Cloud State. The Huskies visited the Elman Center on Friday, October 21st. St. Cloud State entered the match with only 4 conference wins under their belt, and this one would be a struggle at the start. SCSU fell in set 1 25-13. Augustana was able to pull away on an 8-1 run halfway through the set. The Huskies made Augustana work for set 2, staying within a point almost through the whole set. Augustana came out with a win, though, 26-24. And the Vikings would take the match in set 3 with a final set score of 25-13. Kelsey Kaufman was named the Viking of the match. Coming off the bench, she was tied for the match-high kills with 9 on 13 attempts and set a season high with a .692 hitting percentage. She added 2 blocks and an assist against the Huskies. Taylor Banks led the team in digs with 14, and the win against St. Cloud State gave the Vikings their 19th win, which is the most since 2013. A tough opponent loomed over the Vikings on Saturday night. Minnesota Duluth entered the match with a perfect record of 21-0. Minnesota Duluth would get an early 2-1 advantage, but the Vikings found 4 straight points to get their first lead at 11-6. At 17-9 here, one of the longer volleys of the set. Some great digs by Taylor Banks. The Vikings get their point after a Bulldogs attack error, and that'd be consistent for UMD through the night. Minnesota Duluth would have 22 attack errors compared to Augustana's 15. Vikings defense also came up big throughout the match, and we'd see evidence of that here, first with a block by Brittany Check and then by Courtney Place, with Kelsey Kaufman getting in the mix for both. The Vikings close out set 2, capitalizing on an attack error by Aaron Schindler. Set 2 score 25-21. The Bulldogs would come back in set 3, 25-22, but Augustana would get the last word. A quick set here with Kaufman swinging around put Augustana at 24-14 in set 4, and then it's Brittany Check that gets the final kill. The undefeated Minnesota Duluth Bulldogs lose the set 25-14 and the match 3-1. Augustana had 10 more kills and 11 more assists than Minnesota Duluth for the night. Bailey Cook had another stellar performance with a career-high 16 kills. She added 7 blocks on defense. This is Augustana's first win over a #1 team since 2002 and improves their overall record to 20-4. The Vikings also had 5 players earn double-digit kills in the upset. Bailey Cook with 16, Lauren Waite with 13, Kelsey Kaufman with 12, and Courtney Place and Brittany Check with 11. Vikings volleyball wraps up the month of October with a trip to Bemidji State and Minnesota Crookston on October 28th and 29th. When we come back, we give you the answer to this week's Vikings vote and give you the lowdown on our favorite Vikings player from the week.
Augustana All Access on Midco Sports Network is presented by Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine and Classic Import.
Here's this week's Vikings vote. When was the last time Vikings volleyball beat Minnesota Duluth? Your choices were 2009, 2010, 2012, or 2013. The correct answer this week is C, 2012. The Vikings beat the Bulldogs on October 12, 2012 in Sioux Falls 3-2. The only current Viking that remembers beating UMD is Danny Magis, who was a redshirt freshman at the time. The win this week gives Coach Meskey his first win against Minnesota Duluth as well. It's time for this week's Vikings Vote Player of the Week, and this week it's actually the Vikings Players of the Week. If he's good enough for the NSIC Offensive Player of the Week, then he's good enough for us. Trey Hyde completed 30 of 48 passes against the Peacocks this weekend, totaling 446 yards and 6 touchdowns. He led the ground game and had a rushing score, accounting for 553 yards by himself, which is 13 more yards than Upper Iowa had collectively as a team. Our second player of the week goes to junior Bailey Cook, who not only set a career high with 16 kills on Saturday, but led her team with a win over Minnesota Duluth. She also led the defense with 6 blocks, so congrats to both Cook and Hyde for their performances this week. Well, that's all we have for you this week. Be sure to join us next week for another episode of Augustana All Access.